Hello my friends, in this video we are going to discuss the design of batten column. That means we are going to design a built-up column where batten will be used as a lateral system. Let's see the example. Design a batten column with two channels back to back of length 10 meter to carry an axial factored load of 1400 kN. The column may be assumed to have restraint in position but not in direction at both ends. That means both ends of the column are hinged. Let's start the solution part. First of all, I shall write the given data. The actual length of the column which is given in the question is 10 meter. Next, end conditions. For the given column, both ends are hinged. The axial factored load acting on the column is 1400 kN. Let us assume design compressive stress of the column be FCD 135 Newton per mm square. In some previous questions, we have seen that for higher values of factored load of the column, we have to assume FCD equal 200 Newton per mm square. But in this case, as we are going to use batten as a lateral support system, so we have assumed the design compressive stress less than 200 and which is assumed as 135 Newton per mm square. Next, we have to calculate the effective area of cross section required. We know that design compressive strength PD equal effective area into design compressive stress FCD. So effective area equal PD by FCD. If we assume given axial factored load as PD, then the effective area of cross section required will be 1400 into 10 cube. Here 1400 kilonewton is converted into Newton divided by FCD. So it will be calculated as 10,370 mm square. Now we have to select channel section based on the total required cross sectional area which is 10,370 mm square. As we have to place two channels back to back, so each channel should have cross sectional area 10,370 divided by 2, that is 5,185 mm square. That's why we have chosen 2 ISMC 350 and each channel section has cross sectional area 5,366 mm square, which is more than the required cross sectional area. Then we shall write down the properties of the section from the steel table. Thickness of flange TF equal 13.5 mm. Then center of gravity about y-axis is 2.44 cm or 24.4 mm. Then r-axis will be 13.66 cm or 136.6 mm. Then ry also 2.83 cm or 28.3 mm. Then with the flange or breadth of flange is 100 mm. Total area of cross section, if I convert it to mm square, it will be 5366 mm square. Then Ixx, if I convert this centimeter to the power 4 to mm to the power 4, I have to multiply the given value with 10 to the power 4. Similarly, for Iyy, it will be 430.6 into 10 to the power 4 mm to the power 4. Next we have to calculate effective length. Effective length for the column is taken from the table number 11 of IS 800-2007. As for the column, the both ends are hinged, so effective length will be 1.0 L. So if we calculate the value of effective length, it will be 10,000 mm. That is, the effective length and the actual length both are same. The actual slenderness ratio of the column, KL by R. KL is the effective length, which is 10,000 mm. Then radius of gyration is 136.6. So there is a question why we have considered the maximum value of the radius of gyration. Rxx and Ryy, in between these two radius of gyration, this is the least value, 28.3 mm. In case of the calculation of slenderness ratio, we use the least radius of gyration. But in this case, it will be different. See, here we are going to use two channel section to get a built up column section. That means two channel sections are to be placed back to back in this way. When I shall place two channels back to back, I have to calculate this distance. By how much distance the channels will be apart from each other. By calculating this distance, I have to calculate in such a way that Ixx will be equal to Iyy. Okay, so Ixx of the two channels will be just the double of the single channel section, that is 2 into 10,008. Okay, and this will be equal to Iyy. In Ixx we have doubled the value of a single column, but in Yy it is not valid. We cannot just double the given value of Yy for the single column. This is the x-axis and this will be the Yy axis of the column. If you see the x-axis for the whole column section, it is same with the x-axis of the individual channel section. In case of the Yy axis, this is the Yy axis for the whole column system. But if I see the Yy axis of the right channel section, it will be somewhat here, Y dash. It is a Yy axis for the right channel section, for this channel section. Similarly, Yy axis of the left channel sections will be this one. Means the Yy axis of the channel section individually is different from the Yy axis of the overall column section. So to get the value of Yy axis of the overall section, we cannot just double this value, but which is unlike in case of Ixx. So Ixx value of the overall column section will be finally equal to Iyy. That's why Rxx of the whole column section will be remain 136.6 mm and Ryy of the column will not remain 28.3 for the overall section, and Ryy later, after giving the proper dimension of D, it will be approximately equal to 136.6. Remember, it will be approximately equal to 136.6 mm. Means when I shall calculate the value of the following Ixx equal Iyy and then Rxx equal to Ryy. Therefore, here we have used radius of gyration as 136.6 mm, which is the maximum in between Rxx and Ryy. And finally, the actual slenderness ratio is calculated as 73.21. Then if you follow the clause number 7.7.1.4 of IS 800/2007, the effective slenderness ratio of Batten column shall be taken as 1.1 times the maximum actual slenderness ratio of the column to account for shear deformation effect. Therefore, effective slenderness ratio of the Batten column will be 1.1 times of the actual slenderness ratio, which is KL by R. And finally, the value of effective slenderness ratio is calculated as 80.53. As the column section is a built up section, therefore it belongs to buckling class C. If we follow the table number 10 of IS 800/2007, for built up members, buckling class is always C. Now, referring to table 9C of IS 800/2007 for slenderness ratio 80.53 and yield stress 250 Newton per mm square, if we see the table 9C, which gives the design compressive stress FCD for column buckling class C, so it will be in between 80 and 90. For yield stress 250, the value of FCD for slenderness ratio 80 is 136 and for 90 it is 121. So to get the value of FCD for our slenderness ratio, we have to interpolate the value between 136 and 121. So FCD will be 136 minus, because from 136 to 121 the value is decreasing. At the numerator it is 136 minus 121, then difference between the 80 and 90, which is 10, multiplied by 80.53 minus 80. So FCD is calculated as 135.21 Newton per mm square for slenderness ratio 80.53. If I follow the clause number 7.1.2 for the design compressive strength PD, one expression is given where PD equal effective area AE into effective compressive stress FCD. Here for single channel the cross sectional area is 5366. As we are going to use two channels back to back, so it will be twice. Then FCD we have calculated as 135.21 Newton per mm square. So finally the design compressive strength of the column will be 1451.073 kilonewton, which is greater than 1400 kilonewton. Hence the built up column is safe. Now the spacing between the channels. Let clear distance between the two channels be small d. So this is the distance d between the channel. The spacing between the channels should be selected in such a way that Ixx equal Iyy. To get the value of Ixx, see, this is the x-axis of the whole column, as well as this is the x-axis for the individual channel for both right and left channel. So to get the value of Ixx, I have to just multiply the value of Ixx for the individual channel section, which is 10,008 into 10 power 4 by 2. But the same thing is not valid for the YY, because if you see, this is the YY axis of the whole column, and this is the YY axis for the right channel, and this is the YY axis for the left channel. Means the YY axis for the individual channel is not same is the YY axis of the whole column. Now to calculate the Iyy for the whole column, we have to identify Cyy. What is the Cyy? It is the centroidal distance of one channel from the base. So here already I have noted down the value of Cyy. It is 24.4 for the channel. It is 24.4. Now if I have to calculate Iyy for the right column, see, first of all I shall write the Iyy of the channel about its own axis, means own YY axis. So already I have noted that this for 30.6 into 10 to the power 4 about the axis y dash y dash. Now if I have to convert this Iyy of the channel about its own axis to the YY axis of the whole column section, I have to multiply, I have to sum up it with AR square. What is A? It is the area of the channel. It is 5366 mm square. And what is the R? R is the this distance between the YY axis of the whole column and the YY axis of the individual channel. So it will be Cyy plus d by 2. So this portion will be d by 2. So it will be d by 2 plus 244.4 square. So this will give us the value of Iyy of a single channel about the YY axis of the whole column. So if I multiply it by 2, then I will get the moment of inertia of the two channels about the overall YY axis of the column. So if I simplify, d by 2 plus 24.4 whole square is equal to 17,848.3, and finally this d is calculated as 218.4 mm. Therefore, provided spacing d equal to 20 mm as shown in the figure. If you see the figure, this is the spacing between the two channels back to back, which is 220 mm. Now we have to design the battens for the built up column. If you see the figure, a batten is a steel plate which will be used to connect the flanges of two channels to make a built up column. Here we have to fix the dimensions of the plate which will be used as a batten. Let's see be the spacing of battens longitudinally. That means if you see the figure, this is one batten and this is the another batten. The center to center distance between the two batten is assumed as capital C. Least radius of gyration of one channel, R equal RYY. For the channel, it will have two radius of gyration, RXX and RYY. Among these two values, RYY will be the minimum, which is 28.3 mm. Therefore, slenderness ratio of the component over the distance C. That means in this distance C, for the channel in this distance, what will be the slenderness ratio? It is KL by R. KL is the effective length. So here the length is C, and then least radius of gyration is 28.3. So slenderness ratio is C by 28.3. Now, if you see the clause number 7.7.3 of IS 800/2007, which gives the spacing of battens. If you see the clause, the slenderness ratio of any component over that distance shall be neither greater than 50 nor greater than 0.7 times the slenderness ratio of the component as a whole about ZZ. So first of all, C by 28.3, which is the slenderness ratio of that portion, should be less than 50. So from that relation, the C will be less than 1415 mm. Also, slenderness ratio C by 28.3 should be less than 0.7 times the overall slenderness ratio, which we have already calculated. It is 80.53 for the channel. That means C should be less than 1595. By combining these two, we have assumed that C equal 1200 mm. That's why in the figure it is taken as 1200. Total transverse shear to be resisted by battens, Vt. If I see the clause 7.7.2.1 for battens, battens shall be designed to carry the bending moments and shear forces arising from transverse shear force Vt equal to 2.5% of the total axial force. Therefore, transverse shear to be resisted by batten will be the 25% of total axial force, 1400 kilonewton. Here I have converted 1400 kilonewton into Newton. So Vt is calculated as 35,000 Newton. Next, shear force to resist by batten. If you see the formula, shear Vb equal Vtc divided by Ns. So Vt is the transverse shear, 35,000. C is the center to center distance between the two battens, it is 1200. N is, if you see, number of parallel planes of battens. If you see the figure, this is one side of the channel. In the other side also, I have to provide the battens. Means two parallel battens we shall provide in the two sides of the channel. So the value of N will be 2. Then S. S is the minimum transverse distance between centroid of rivet bolt group welding connecting the batten to the main members. If you see the figure, the bolts are placed at a distance 60 mm from the web of the channel. At the other side also, the bolts are placed at 60 mm from the web. So center to center distance between the two bolt rows will be 220 plus 60 plus 60. So it will be 340. So that's why the value of S will be 340. And finally, the VB, which is the shear force to resist by battens, is calculated as 61,765 Newton. Then we have to calculate bending moment to resist by battens. This is the formula given the IS code in clause 7.7.2.1. So M equal VTC by 2N. VT we have calculated, which is 35,000. C we have assumed as 1200. Then N, the number of parallel batten, is 2. So the bending moment is calculated as 105 into 10 to the power 5 Newton mm. Now size of battens. We have to first calculate length of the batten plates. If you see the figure, the batten will connect two channels end to end at its flange. So to provide the battens, its length should be this much. So here this distance is the gap between two channels, which is 220 mm. Then width of the flange for each channel is 100 mm. Therefore the length of the batten should be 100 plus 220 plus 100, that is 420 mm. Next, effective depth of end battens. If you see the clause 7.7.2.3 of IS 800/2007, when plates are used for battens, the end battens and those at points where the member is stayed in its length shall have an effective depth longitudinally not less than the perpendicular distance between the centroids of main members. So if you see the figure, for each channel the centroidal distance about YY, which is CYY, is 24.4 mm, which is already noted down from the steel table. For the both side it is 24.4 mm, which is CYY. So in the class they are talking about this distance between the two centroids, which is 24.4 plus 220 plus 24.4, which is 268.8 mm. So effective depth of batten should not be less than 268.8 mm. And also, but no case shall the effective depth of any batten be less than twice the width of one member. Here width of one member means the width of the flange, which is 100 mm. So twice the width of one member means 2 into 100, which is 200 mm. That's why the effective depth of end batten should not be less than 268.8 mm and also not less than 200 mm. Therefore, provided 270 mm effective depth for end battens. Then we have to calculate the overall depth for end battens. If we provide edge distance for each bolt 35 mm on both the sides, so the overall distance will be effective depth 270 plus 2 into edge distance 35, so it will be 340 mm. That means 340 mm will be the overall depth of the batten. Then thickness of battens. If you see the clause 7.7.2.3, the thickness of batten or the tie plates shall be not less than 1/50 of the distance between the innermost connecting lines of rivets, bolts or wheels perpendicular to the main member. That means the thickness of batten should be 1/50 of the effective depth. If you see the figure, the innermost distance between the n bolts is the effective depth, which is 270 mm for the n battens. So thickness of batten should not be less than 5.4 mm. Therefore we have used 8 mm thick plates as batten. Provided n battens of size 420 into 340 into 8 mm. 420 is the length of the batten plate, 340 is the overall depth, and 8 mm is the thickness of the batten plate. Next we have to calculate effective depth for intermediate batten. The intermediate battens shall have an effective depth of not less than 3/4 of the distance. That means this line talking about the distance between the centroids of main members. So already we have calculated this distance as 268.8 mm, which we calculated for the n battens. Therefore the effective depth of intermediate batten should not be less than 3/4 of 268.8 mm, that is 201.6 mm. And also this line is also valid for intermediate batten. There is no case shall the effective depth of any batten be less than twice the width of one member, 2 into thickness of flange, which is 200 mm. So the effective depth of intermediate batten should not be less than 201.6 mm and also not less than 200 mm. Therefore provided 210 mm effective depth for intermediate battens. Therefore overall depth of n battens, if I provide 35 mm as the edge distance like the n battens, for the intermediate battens, so its overall depth will be effective depth 210 mm plus 2 into edge distance, that is 280 mm. Therefore provided intermediate battens of size 420 into 280 into 8 mm, where 420 is the length of the batten, 280 is the overall depth, and 8 mm is the thickness for the intermediate battens. Next we have to check for the stresses in batten plates. First we shall calculate the design shear stress tau d. It is equal to Fy by √3 gamma m naught. Fy is the yield stress, which is 250 Newton per mm square. Gamma m naught is 1.1 and it is taken from table 5 of IS 800. So design shear stress is calculated as 227.27 Newton per mm square. Then design bending stress sigma d, it is equal to Fy by gamma m naught. Fy is the yield stress 250 Newton per mm square, gamma m naught is 1.1 and design bending stress is calculated as 131.22 Newton per mm square. Now number A for n battens, we shall calculate shear stress tau, which is equal to Vb by A. Vb is a transverse shear force, which is calculated as 61,765, and A is the area of cross section of the n batten plates, where 340 is the overall depth of the batten plates and 8 is the thickness. So shear stress is calculated as 22.71 Newton per mm square, and it is less than tau d, which is a design shear stress. Hence it is safe. Then again bending stress sigma equal to m by z. Z is a section modulus and it is Td square by 6. If I put the values of moment m, then T thickness and D is the overall depth, we shall get the value of bending stress sigma, which is 68.12 Newton per mm square, and it is less than design bending stress sigma d. Hence the end batten is safe against shear stress and bending moment. Then we shall calculate for intermediate battens. Shear stress tau phi b by a. Phi b we have calculated. A is the cross sectional area of the intermediate batten plates. 280 is the overall depth and 8 is the thickness, and shear stress is calculated as 27.57 Newton per mm square, which is less than tau d, which is a design shear stress. Then bending stress sigma equal m by z. M is the moment, T is the thickness, and D is the overall depth of the section. Here Z is the section modulus, and this is replaced by TD square by 6. If I put the values of M, T and Z, we shall get the bending stress, and it is less than design bending stress sigma d. Hence the intermediate batten is also safe against shear stress and bending stress. Now we have to calculate the design strength of 20 mm bolts, which will be used in the connection between the channel and the batten plates. First we shall calculate the design shear strength of bolt. If you follow the clause number 10.3.3 of IS 800, the design shear strength of the bolt V DSB is equal to V NSB by gamma m naught. Again V NSB, which is the nominal shear capacity, will be replaced by this expression, and here gamma MB is the partial safety factor, and its value is taken from table 5 of IS 800. So this is the formula for design shear strength. Then we shall put the values. So here the gamma MB is 1.25. It as I have already told, it is taken from table 5. FUB is the ultimate strength of the bolt. Then NN equal to 1. It is the number of shear plane at the threaded portion. And A and B, it is the cross sectional area of the bolt at the threaded portion, A and B, and it is the 78% of the total cross sectional area of the bolt, which is pi by 4 into 20 square. Then NS will be 0, because as we are going to connect the flange with the batten plates, so it will be a case of single shear. That's why the number of shear plane at the sunk portion will be 0. So after the calculation, the design shear strength of the bolt is calculated as 45.272 kilonewton. Next, here we have provided edge distance E equal 35 mm. Here KB is the list of the following. If you see the clause number 10.3.4, KB is smaller of these 4 values. So here we shall not use this calculation because we do not know about the pitch. For the connection of the batten plate and the flange, here we can use 1 bolts or number of bolts. So depending on the number of bolts, we shall fix the pitch of the bolt. So here we have not calculate this value. So first we shall calculate the 3E by 3D naught. E is the edge distance, it is 35 mm in this case. D naught is the diameter of the bolt hole. The diameter of the bolt is 20 mm, so diameter of the bolt hole is 2 mm more than diameter of the bolt. It is 22 mm. So E by 3D naught is calculated as 0.5303. Then FUB by FU. FUB is the ultimate strength of the bolt, and Fu is the ultimate strength of the plate. So this value will be calculated as 0.9756. Then it is simply 1. So among these three values, the least one is E by 3D naught, which is 0.5303, and it will be taken as the value of Kb. So for design bearing strength of bolt VDPB, we have to follow 10.3.4. Here we will get the expression for VDPB. It is equal to VNPB by gamma MB. Again NPB, which is a nominal bearing strength of the bolt, has the expression this one. So finally the design bearing strength of the bolt has the expression 1 by gamma MB into 2.5 kb dt Fu. So if I put the corresponding values, gamma MB is 1.25, which will be taken from table 5. Then kb already have calculated 0.5303. Then 20 is the diameter of the bolt. Then T is the thickness of the batten plate. Fu will be ultimate strength of the plate, it is 410. So design bearing strength is calculated as 69.575. In between the two values of shearing strength, which is 45.272, and bearing strength 69.575, the shear strength of the bolt is the least one, so that will be used as a bolt value of the connection. Therefore the number of bolts required for each batten connection 61765, which is we have calculated, divided by bolt value, and it is 1.364. So more than one bolts we have to used. Let us provide 3 bolts to take into account stresses due to bending. Then we have to check for stresses. Force in each bolt due to shear. Total transverse shear force, which is 61,765 divided by 3. It is calculated as 20,588 Newton. See, suppose this is the intermediate batten plate and its overall thickness is 280 mm. If I provide 3 bolts in this way, this distance is edge distance and this is also the edge distance. Then this will be 210. Therefore the pitch will be 210 by 2. That means this distance will be 105 for both at the top and bottom for the intermediate battens. Force due to moment in external bolt. So these two are the external bolt. So it is equal to mr by summation of r square. M is the moment, which is 105 into 10 power 5. R is the distance, this distance, which is 105. Again r square, summation of r square, that means 105 square, this distance square plus this distance square. Finally the force due to moment in external bolt is calculated as 50,000 Newton. Therefore resultant force in external bolt will be square root of the value, square of this value and square of this one. So the resultant force is calculated as 54,072.78 Newton, which is greater than the bolt value, hence it is unshaped and we have to redesign the connection. Now let us try with 5 number of bolts. Force in each bolt due to shear. Total transverse shear divided by 5. It is 12,353 Newton. Let the pitch be 50 mm for intermediate battens. So if you see the figure, this is 50 mm. Force due to moment in external bolt, Mr by summation of R square. M is the moment, R will be 100. If you see the figure, if it is the central line, this distance will be 100. Distance between the central line to the extreme bolt. As we are calculating the moment on the extreme bolt, so R will be 100. Then summation of R square means we have to sum up the distance of each bolt from the center line and their square. This distance is 50 mm and this is also 50 mm. So 2 into 50 square. Then for these two bolts the distance is 100 mm each. So 2 into 100 square. So if I take common of 2 square plus 50 square plus 100 square. So that's why the summation of R will be this one. And the force due to moment in external bolt is calculated as 42,000 Newton. Therefore, resultant force in external bolt, if you calculate the resultant of this and these two forces, it will be calculated as 43,778.95 Newton, which is less than the bolt value 45,272 Newton. Hence, it is safe. Next, let the pitch be 67.5 mm for N battens. So for the intermediate battens, we have provided the pitch of 50 mm. But in case of N battens, as we are going to provide 5 numbers of bolt and its overall depth is more, so its pitch will be also more than the intermediate battens. So it will be 67.5 for the N battens. So force due to moment in external bolt will be Mr by summation of R square, 105 into 10 power 5 into, in this case if you see the figure, this distance will be 2 into 67.5, which is 135 mm. So R is 135 in this case. And similarly for summation of R square, 2 into 67.5 square plus 135 square, similar to the previous case. But here the distances are different as the pitch of the bolts are different. So the moment is calculated as 31,111 Newton. So if I take the resultant moment in between this and this, finally we shall get the resultant moment as 33,478.73 Newton, which is less than the bolt value 45,272 Newton. Hence the design is safe. So we shall provide the 5 numbers of bolts of nominal diameter 20 mm for both N and intermediate battens. So this is the design of the bolted connection for the battens. So today in this video lecture we have discussed the design of battened built-up column. I hope you have learned the design. So if you have any queries, you can place at the comment section, and also you can mail me to my mail address. So if you have liked the video, please share with your friends. Also subscribe my channel if you are new to my channel. Thank you.